Hey everybody, it is Jillian. Today, I feel pretty calm today. Like super calm today. Definitely needing to rest and think. My body, the gods, whatever, the viruses in the environment wanted me to just sit and chill and just listen to a lot of different biographies on Netflix and different wars and revolutions on Netflix. And I would actually close my eyes, not sleep, but just close my eyes and listen to what the Netflix movie was talking about. And that's like my way of taking in information and absorbing it. I watched a movie on octopuses, and I remember seeing a post about octopuses and how when they're sleeping, they emit certain kind of light. It's like a mood ring. And they are very intelligent creatures. Okay, very intelligent creatures. Actually, they're probably just as intelligent as a human because they were never taught by a mother or a father, and they have no protection around them. So they have to be very intelligent in how they protect themselves and get food and camouflage themselves in environments that are very predatory, like the ocean. And so it reminded me of going back in my 20s with my friend Teresa, who was into this psychic, holistic type of stuff. I don't talk to her anymore. We parted ways actually way back in the early 2000s. But she was like my best friend during my 20s when I was in California, just living that lifestyle of going to the bars and partying and getting drunk and doing the things that a 20-year-old would do. And one of the things that she was interested in, since she was in college at the time, and she's also in the military with me too. I was in the military at that time, in the Air National Guard in California. And one of the things that she took me to was the Berkeley Psychic Institute, which they do aura readings. And so I remember standing in front of like a panel of people. I would wait in line or sign up for it. And they would do an aura reading, and they did one on me. And actually during that time, I was very fertile. And so they said, yes, most of all of your energy is down there in like the bottom of your chakras. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that would make sense in my 20s, and I'm hot to trot like everybody else in their 20s when they're just discovering the world and they're discovering their hormones. And so, yeah. And the auras are the colors of the rainbow. They are the prisms, the colors, like the red shift, blue shift. They are what you see when it's raining and the sun's shining and all the rain, or the sun is going through the rain, and it releases this prism type effect, which is the rainbow. And all of those colors are, like the gods, yes, but they also represent moods. They are a representation of spirits. They are a representation of just the intelligence of this universe that is everywhere. And it comes from electromagnetism. It comes from light. It comes from the sun. It comes from the minerals. And then that intelligence is then harnessed by biodiversity. And this is where humans and animals get their intelligence. Like I look at my dog, and she is like a composite of really oxytocin and adrenaline for the most part. That's the most of the hormones that I can see. Obviously, there's other hormones that keep her alive, but the ones that show her intelligence is the fact that she can sense danger. She's like my spirit animal. She knows when there's danger. She also gives me love when she feels that I need it or when she feels that she needs it. And she's like my little shadow. I can't even go outside without her being out there with me. And so I try to sneak outside, but you can't sneak outside with my dog. No, she's right there at the window when she knows that I'm gone. And so that's just like the spirits. That's just like your aura, your feelings. And that's like the gods of love and hate and good and evil and satire. All the different, like if you look up all the Greek mythological gods, those are your aura. Those are your feelings. And some people suppress, I would say 90% of their feelings to where they want to bring up only one or two or three feelings. And they can't handle dealing with the rainbow of their personality. And so they try to bring up one that is the most accepted, whether it's the comical, laughing jester, always everything is funny, nothing is serious, or you're so depressed, or you're always happy. Like I said, like you're happy, or there's so many other feelings that a person just wants to bring up all the time. Pleasure, always wanting to be chasing pleasure, chasing adrenaline, always ready to fight or flight. And so that's what the gods and that's what humanity has been bred for, is to bring up a very specific, powerful hormone, aura, intelligence, and then get exploited. And then, yeah, you make money off it. Of course. You go to the extremes of Hollywood where they really put the stars under so much pressure to get out the most innovation, the most extraordinary talents. And then you go someone as far as someone that's so stupid that they have nothing to offer. Not that they're stupid, but they just have nothing to offer to the world, like nothing. And they are struggling with that because they weren't able to tap into those hormones. And that's the only difference between humanity, is the fact that some people are able to tap into all of their hormones, all of their aura, and some people cannot. And that's what creates the hierarchy. I mean, how many people have worshipped somebody like Schwarzenegger? Like, oh my God, he's so awesome. He has all these big muscles, and he's an actor, and he's in politics, and he's part of like the dynasty of the Kennedys and all that stuff. And people like totally just worship these people, whether it's Jesus, Moses, or anyone that has access to all of their hormones, all of their intelligence, not realizing that you all have access to the same amount of hormones if you only knew how to evolve and not suppress your evolution. And so that's where, where I'm watching The Walking Dead, and one of the lines is like, everything gets a return. Everything gets a return. Yeah. The more you invest in only happiness, that's all you're going to get until there's nothing left. And then your light starts dimming. So when people start dying, their light starts dimming. They don't have access to the same intelligence, the same emotions, the same aura that they used to give off when they were younger. Because you've seen people when they're younger. They're vibrant, they're beautiful, they're symmetrical, they have everything going for them. Their hands are in so many different baskets. And then as they get older, the productivity slows down, their access to resources slow down, their issues with cancer, disease, and chronic illness start coming up. And so that's where the medical holistic system comes in. And then they go and try to slow down the evolution, that's cancer's evolution, to control that thermodynamics, because like anything, there's two sides to every human. There's a front end and the back end. Most people forget either side. I mean, we can say, yeah, that you're bringing everything on your, how do I say this? You're able to keep on the back end. Like when you're younger, you're able to retain your energy on the back end, and you're not bringing too much on the front end. And so you're relatively balanced, right? But then you bring so much energy on the front end because now you're capitalizing on all of your experiences and all your strengths. And then you lose everything on the back end. You start seeing a depletion in your resources. And then, yeah, you go get your aura readings like at any psychic institute. And like, oh yeah, this chakra here is strong and this chakra here is weak and you got to do this. And then you go to the holistic world and they do tests on you about vitamins and everything. Like, oh yeah, you're missing this mineral, that mineral, that mineral, that mineral, and this. And that's all stuff you see in outer space that has to do with electromagnetism and colors, or red shift, blue shift, going away or bringing forward. And it's like, so society takes over as people get older. Well, it's not that society takes over, it's that people are not retaining their energy. Society will always take over. Society will always be right there at your doorstep. You can't get away from society. But people are not retaining their energy and releasing at a rate that is balanced. And so, yeah, they live like really high for a very short amount of time. They have that window of opportunity to be so productive and so amazing and have a career for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And then their face, you see it in their face, they turn into Medusa after a certain amount of time. They're losing their collagen. They're losing their hair. They're trying to run away from their evolution by suppressing their pain. So they're constantly getting high, or constantly drinking, or constantly going looking for a new boyfriend or new girlfriend or some other types of adrenaline-filled experiences because it's a distraction. Or they're constantly trying to go on vacation because they can't handle themselves at home. If you can't handle yourself at home, why are you always on vacation? Why don't you just go live over in the Bahamas? Okay? And so society is nothing wrong with society. Society is going to be what it is. It's a conglomeration of so many different spirits and people and things and intentions and purposes. And it's up to you as the human to know how to balance all of that out so you can retain your energy and potentially live indefinitely, ergo immortality. And so when you bring it all together, everything does come from the universe. I mean, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, we're starseeds. Yeah, we are. But we are a conglomeration of imbalanced starseeds out on this earth with maybe 120 years, if that, lifespan. And someone has bred a specific type of aura in you that would then look like an Olympian, like a weightlifter, like let's say Arnold Schwarzenegger, or like Nancy Kerrigan, or Mary Lou Retton. These are people of my time in the 80s. Or a skater, or anyone that has brought themselves to the public eye where they're so good at one thing or two things. Someone like a Bill Gates, someone like a Steve Jobs. He had a lot of questionable character flaws, but the one thing that his strength was building Apple. So they forgave him for all of his other character flaws and just said, okay, you can have your character flaws and your outbursts and your lack of compassion for your employees, but we want your knowledge. We want your knowledge. We want your organizational skills. We want your technical innovation. And so that's right, Mike. And so that's what you as a human have to understand, how to balance out the gifts that the gods gave you. That you don't need to worship anyone or anything. You don't even need to worship yourself. Just balance everything out and then pick and choose things that you want to focus on. And then you might change that. Like, that's the thing is with humans that could live indefinitely, you can have as many careers and many, interests as you want, and you can learn them and you have time to learn them. But yeah, when you're only stuck with 100 years, if that, and then you're stuck in the cycle of priorities and distractions, then there's no way you're going to tap into every other part of yourself, which is why we have so much suffering in humanity, because some people want to tap into that, but they don't know how, because of their upbringing, because they don't know their body and they're listening to the medical holistic system who is trying to suppress their evolution, trying to control their lifespan. And I said that a long time ago in my first book. Your lifespan is controlled by the medical holistic industry. And so those are like, oh yeah, I beat cancer. And you see like the truth about cancer and all that. And they're all promoting alkaline diets because they were taught not to feel pain, to suppress the evolution. And so the truth about cancer is such a detriment to humanity. Such a detriment to humanity. And so, but that's what they were taught. So now you have these cancer vaccines that they're going to now be putting out there because cancer is growth. And if you are on a body that is on a deficit, you can't handle the growth. So that's another way to control your evolution. But it's Cheryl, it's not about not putting your kids need to learn. Here's the thing, you guys. You cannot denigrate the school system. You cannot denigrate the government. You cannot denigrate the vaccine industry or big pharma or any other agency. That is a foible of humanity, is to blame somebody else, but never take personal responsibility for your own biochemistry, Cheryl Lawson. Your children need to be taught something. They need to be given a foundation to work from. And then you as a parent have the responsibility to put it all together. They're going to learn one side of the world, and it's your job to give them the other side of it and let them figure out how to work that to their benefit and to also live indefinitely. Not take them away from things, not deprive them of sugar or salt or GMO or only give them organic. Your job is to give them all the information so they can make an actual educated decision, not to deprive them of things that their friends and family are experiencing, because that's what's wrong with our society, is that we have demonized a person, place, or thing, and then we deprive our children of the information and make them work that much harder to get the information. I wish that my parents gave me all the information, not just their one-sided point of view that is so biased. That was my issue. No kid should have to go and figure out what the other half of life is. And so when people demonize Bill Gates and Big Pharma, which I did too, because I didn't really know how this all worked until I discovered the gods and the mythology, which really is the mythology is reality, and realized that there's a bigger picture going on, and that we need to have big pharma, we need to have the innovation, but we need to know how to balance it and handle it and support it correctly so our kids can adapt to the innovation. But you don't deprive them of the information that is so needed. If I didn't have academia or PubMed or the government websites, I wouldn't be able to write my book. I wouldn't be able to look up definitions. The school system gives you definitions. It gives you concepts. Yes, they give you a slant on it, but then you as a parent recognize the bias in the school system and then give the other side of the picture to your kid so they can have a balanced point of view if you're that aware of another argument. But if you're still one-sided, then you're going to deprive them of one side and give the other side, and you will create an imbalanced child who will be resentful to you in the long run. So you have to understand balance, parents. You can't deprive your kid of knowing everything. Because that was my issue, was the fact that I only learned one side of the world. And then I finally learned the other side of it when I went on the internet and got into different groups. And I started circulating in conversations I ordinarily would not have circulated in because where I came from. And then when I told my parents about the conspiracy world and about, I don't know, stuff, they're like, they were against it, of course. But that's because they were biased. But it gave me so much to work from, and then I started making the connections. And so why don't you as a parent make all the connections and then give your kid the opportunity and give their biochemistry the opportunity to handle all the information. And then they can become a balanced person, know that when they go into a company, it's very biased. They're going to work within devolving protocols, like if they want to get into medicine, they're going to be working with antibiotics. Antibiotics destroys the brain because it destroys the gut. But you as a parent have to understand that. You have to understand how all the connections are made. But you cannot live from a deprivation point of view because you don't believe. Because everything is about balance. And there's nothing wrong in our society. It's the people that don't know their potential and don't know all of the bigger picture, and they've been only given one side. And so if you don't recognize the strength in Bill Gates, like, oh, Bill Gates is not a doctor, so you think another doctor is going to help you out? You think the doctors know what the hell's going on? So Bill Gates is, I'm not a doctor. You think I'm full of shit? It takes someone that's not a doctor to figure some shit out. So recognize the strength in everything and balance it out. And then have a very specific measurable result of potentially indefinite life and dealing with your pain and evolution and facing your demons. Because if you're not willing to do that, then what's the point? That's why I say, don't be sending me videos, you guys, on what doctors that are aging and degrading are saying. Whether it's at the 13th minute, what are we saying there? I don't really give a crap what a doctor says who's aging and degrading. They're aging and degrading. They may be right in one area, like what a cell is, but then their perception of stuff is completely then opposite of mine, because guess what? They're aging. They look like they're aging. Okay, that's not the outcome that I want. So if you're gonna do Jilly Juice, I mean, that's fine. You do your research, but at some point you're going to realize that when you look at somebody giving you advice who says, "Oh, I beat cancer," well, cancer is evolution. So how did you beat cancer? Oh, I took all these alkaline diets and antibiotics and turmeric and honey. Well, that's antibiotic. That's going to destroy your brain. How? Because it's destroying your gut. Oh, but you can't tell them that because they don't want to feel pain. They don't want that diagnosis anymore. They want to be in remission. They don't want to feel their evolution. So the truth about cancer is about suppressing your evolution at an exponential level. But no, the government is not wrong. They're just giving you what you want. If you actually change what you want, they wouldn't be promoting the stuff that they're doing. But the reason why they are is because you've accepted death as the outcome. So since you don't want to feel pain and you accept death as the outcome, this is then the curriculum that your kid's going to be taught until they actually want to face their own demons, because mama and dada face their own demons. But if mommy and daddy don't want to face their demons, neither will the child. And that will get passed on from generation to generation. And yes, you will be part of the slave class, where you're going to butt up against everything And then your kids can be only good for McDonald's because it would be nothing else, because they won't have any innovation of thought to think outside the box, because you never taught them that. You only taught them to be an activist, to hate, to denigrate, to take a side, not have a balance of understanding both arguments, and then finding a way to kind of fit in your beliefs and fit into making money. And so the aura is the gift from the gods. All of those colors from the octopus is the gift of intelligence. Your aura is the gift of the gods, the gift of intelligence. You take away big pharma, you turn back to a caveman that's knuckle dragging, always at war, and raping and pillaging. And that's what Bill Gates, and that's what Klaus Schwab, and that's what Terry Malloret and all the different people out there that are trying to change our society, they're trying to get away from that. Because we have a lot of caveman and cave women in our society who are all about their hormones. They don't have any original thought because they were never taught to have that. They were taught to react and be part of drama. And to only work and that's it, and then get distracted with toys and things. But then we need people in our society to do that. And that's why they're streamlining things. That's why they've outsourced a lot of stuff to other countries, because America, you're bigger than that. You're bigger than just being a factory worker. I think you have a lot more potential than being just a ditch digger. So maybe the reason why they're outsourcing is because they want you to rise up to your potential, not always seek the lowest common denominator. That you have more potential than what you're giving yourself credit for. And so, yeah, it's like mom and dad taking away, saying, okay, you have to leave the nest at 18. Sink or swim, baby. Either you figure out how to find a way to make it in our society without having to go to the lowest common denominator of a job, and we'll outsource jobs that are, yes, the people in other countries who don't have the privilege of innovation that we have, they can do all of the menial labor. We can bring in people who do the menial labor that are okay with that because they didn't have anything where they came from. And then you raise yourself by your own fucking bootstraps and be more intelligent. Have a desire to be more intelligent. If not, then it's like evolve or perish. That's the name of the game. And so if you're going to evolve, if you're going to perish, then yes, the light, the intelligence will dim. And every single time you smoke your pot, you drink all your alcohol without balancing out with salt and J juice. And every single time you go in and be an adrenaline junkie, dopamine junkie, serotonin junkie, the light dims. The intelligence dims. The evolution dims. And the kids are going to be seeing their predispositions kick in even faster because the atmosphere is that much more charged up. Whether it's the viruses, whether it's the grid, whether it's just all of the stresses of our society, the different political climates that are going on right now, whether it's gun control or the president, which I have no issue with. I don't really care. I just stay out of harm's way. I don't really mix in too much with the public. I don't need to go back to normal, whatever that is, because people are unraveling. And you're seeing it. And so now it's time to evolve to a higher form of intelligence. And that's what they're trying to force humanity to do right now, especially in the West. We're so innovative that now it's time to take advantage of the innovation that they were given to you and start rising up or perish. One of the two, evolve or perish. So, anyways, you guys have a good day, but I wanted to give you that. Have a good weekend. Bye.